Okay. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
So, I was just told that we don't have Colleen tonight, so I believe we have everybody here. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and get us started. So it is 6:01 p.m. and I would like to call this meeting of the Midvale City Planning Commission to order. I've been asked by Midvale City staff to read the following. This meeting will be an electronic meeting without a physical location pursuant to Utah Code 52-4-207 as amended by HB 5002. Chairman Zach Smallwood, as chair of the Midvale City Planning Commission, hereby makes the determination that conducting the meeting with an anchor location presents a substantial risk to the health and safety of those who may be present at the anchor location. This determination is based upon the fact that the city is unable to ensure compliance with the guidelines and public health protocols mandated by the state's current risk phase. As restrictions limiting public gatherings occur across the state, Midvale City wants to ensure everyone interested in participating in planning commission meetings can do so. Public comments are read into the record by city staff during the public hearings portions of the meeting. If you would like to make a public comment, please send an email to Alex Murphy at amurphy@midvale.com. When commenting, please limit your comments to approximately 400 words. This is the equivalent of 3 minutes. Include your first and last name. You may also include your city of residence if you'd like. That's optional. Also include the name of the agenda item so that city staff know when you want your public comment to be read into the record. City staff will read into the record the equivalent of 3 minutes. Your input is important to us, so please keep your comments concise. And with that, Kate, could you take a roll call vote, please? She disappeared. There she
Sorry,
is.
this is my first time doing it from the office, and so I'm trying to like orient myself. And yes, I can.
Thank you.
Chair Smallwood.
Here.
Vice Chair Tippett.
Here.
Commissioner Costello.
She is excused tonight.
Commissioner Anderson.
Here.
Commissioner Snow.
Here.
Commissioner Erickson.
Here.
And Commissioner Benson.
Here.
Perfect. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. So to keep the meeting as orderly as possible, I will ask that everyone in the Zoom meeting mute themselves when not speaking. This makes it easier for everyone to hear and to transcribe the meeting in preparation of the minutes. I'd also ask that the applicants state their name for the record before speaking or answering a question. For this meeting, the process for the public hearing items shall proceed as follows. I will introduce the item followed by a presentation by staff. The attorney's office will provide some information on the Planning Commission's role for the item. The applicant will be allowed an opportunity to present any information. I will then the chair will open the public hearing. The public hearing will be closed after a motion by the commission. The chair will then ask for commission action. A vote will be taken and the chair will announce the decision. So with that, we will jump right into the action items. So the first one is the election of chair and vice chair for 2021. Had anybody had any thoughts or suggestions?
I would like to speak. I think that Zach has the coolest setup to do the meetings, and so he should continue as the chair.
I think I had my fun for the year. I would much like to kind of sit back and let somebody else have some fun for a year. So, Robin, Dustin, thoughts, comments? That Dustin saying yes, he wants to be chair.
No,
That's what that was.
I'll vote Robin.
Oh, look at that. Okay.
And I was gonna say Dustin, but he doesn't seem very keen.
I don't know if I'm smart enough.
Oh my goodness.
No.
Plenty smart.
I'm a bit vocal. I think people get nervous with me.
Vocal's not a bad thing.
Okay, I'll remember you said that. What's wrong with Candy stepping up?
Yeah.
You're used to it, Candy.
Oh yeah, I'm really used to it.
You filled in well this year.
Yeah.
Well, I have had to fill in a few times, but
Because
you know, it's a vote, so everyone should vote.
I'm waiting for, I guess what we need to do then is make a, somebody has to actually nominate someone.
Through a motion. They need to make a motion to nominate.
There we go.
And we'll need a separate one for chair and vice chair.
Right.
Although I suppose you could combine the two into a single motion, but it's usually easier to track if you do them.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do two. That's fine. And any one of the commissioners can participate in this, right? Can make a motion.
Yeah, that would have been a good question to ask when we were revising the bylaws last year.
Well, geez.
Yeah.
I figure it is since.
Yeah, so the position must be held by a member.
Right.
The
But
bylaws don't specify who can nominate, but the decision is made by the commission as a whole. So I assume that anybody can nominate a member.
So we make a motion, like I motioned for Candy to be chairperson.
Okay.
I like you so much, Candy.
Oh yeah, whatever.
it's been moved, so I need a second.
I'll second the motion.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded for Candy to be the chair for
You win.
2021. So, Kate, will you take a vote, please?
Yes, I'm figuring it out. So Commissioner Tippett,
Yeah.
Commissioner Erickson,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Snow,
Yes.
Commissioner Benson,
Yes.
and Chair
I think-
Smallwood.
Yes. Okay. Well, then I'm going to, can I make a motion as chair
Hold
for
on,
this?
let me see.
It's the entire commission who's voting on this. So just kind of the same way when you guys did the bylaws, right now you guys are all equal.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to make a motion, I guess, to myself that Robin be the vice chair.
I'll
Do I-
second that motion.
Okay, so it's been moved and moved by Robin and seconded by, moved by Commissioner Anderson, seconded by Commissioner Tippett, to have Robin Anderson be the vice chair for 2021. Kate, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Commissioner Tippett,
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Snow,
Yep.
and Commissioner Benson,
Yes.
and Chair Smallwood.
Yes. That passes unanimously. So now we have our people for our chair and vice chair for 2021. Alex and or Garrett, am I running this meeting or do they need to now?
You
step
will
in?
now turn it over to the new chair.
I will now turn it over to the new chair.
No pressure, no pressure.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Get your
So
hot chocolate candy.
Okay. Well, I guess since the action item 1 is done, we'll move on to action item 2, which is review and approve the minutes of the December 9, 2020 meeting. Does anyone have any corrections or additions?
I don't.
Can I get a motion then, please?
I move that we approve the December 9th, 2020 Planning Commission minutes.
Snow, second.
It's been approved and seconded. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Yep. Commissioner Smallwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
and Commissioner Snow.
Yes.
Okay, the minutes have been approved and seconded. So now we will move on to our public hearing portion of the meeting. Item number 3 is, and I don't know all of these abbreviations, so I'm going to need help with this.
You can skip the.
Can I skip the first part?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a request to vacate city-owned right-of-way approximately 875 East North Union Avenue, Regional Commercial Zone. Luron, is that how you say that? Foster, Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers Restaurant is the applicant. Jana Ward is the planner that will be presenting tonight. So Jana, do you want to go ahead and do that?
Yes, I'm also working from the office for the first time in a long time, so a different setup. So, let me get my screen up there. All right, and you can see the screen, request to vacate, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is just a small portion of, it's the North Union Avenue. It is a part of the right-of-way. And it is actually over top of an existing parking lot and some landscaping at the Hoppers restaurant at 890 East Fort Union. And so this is just a request as part of a redevelopment proposal that they're preparing for, is to vacate this just little strip of land. If the request to vacate is approved, the property line will align 1 foot behind the sidewalk along North Union Avenue, which is typical for right-of-way widths in the city. And as dictated by the code, this request was forwarded to other affected city departments to determine potential impacts to the city. And the various departments concluded the vacation of the right-of-way was appropriate, and I did not receive any express concerns from any of the departments. So staff agrees with the city department conclusion that the vacation of the requested right-of-way is appropriate and recommends the Planning Commission forward a positive recommendation to the City Council. Are there any questions? This is the survey, but yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I don't know how to. You guys have any questions?
Not from me.
Me either. Is the applicant present?
Hello, my name is Marissa Muha. I'm with PM Design Group. I am the architectural representative for Raising Cane's.
But do you have anything you'd like to add to Jana's presentation?
No, we would just like to clear up our parcel lines to make this a little bit more easy. And we are so excited for the opportunity to come to the city of Midvale.
Does anyone have any questions for the applicant?
I do not.
Let's open this up for public comment then. Have we received any comments, Jana?
I don't have any public comments for this project.
Okay, we'll leave this open for a few minutes to see if we receive anything.
Chair, the commission can leave it open for as long as they wish. There's no minimum requirement anymore.
Okay, great. So commissioners, when you feel like the appropriate time has been spent, go ahead and make a motion to that effect.
This is Snow. I'll make a motion. I move that we forward a positive recommendation to the city council to vacate a portion of the North Union Avenue as described in the submitted boundary description.
You'll need to close the public hearing.
Yeah, we need to close the public hearing first. Dustin,
I
do you
move
want to
we
do
close it.
that?
I'll move we close the public hearing too.
This is Robin. I second that we close the public hearing.
Okay, Dustin, if you want to go ahead and make your motion again, that'd be great.
I move that we forward a positive recommendation to the city council to vacate a portion of North Union Avenue as described in the submitted boundary description.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, it's been, there's been a motion and it's been seconded. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Commissioner Smallwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Anderson,
Yes.
and Commissioner Snow.
Yes.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded and approved. So we look forward to having this go on to the next step. Okay, let's move on to public hearing matter number 4 on our agenda. This is the Vunder amended subdivision 287/293 East, 6790 South. It's a conditional use permit and preliminary subdivision plat for subdivision with twin homes on 4 residential lots. Single family 1 zone with duplex overlay. Brandon Fry Development is the applicant, and Jason Binks is the presenter tonight from the city.
Okay, good evening, commissioners. I think you should see that on your screen now. I wanted to congratulate Zach and Candy for a very peaceful exchange of power. It's it's a very nice precedent.
Well, that's only because we're on a video conference. So.
Yeah, she'll murder me later.
Okay, I see Brandon is here too, so let me get started. Good evening, I'm Jason. This is for a Vunder subdivision, a preliminary subdivision and a conditional use for twin homes. Brandon Fry of Brandon Fry Developments is with us. He's the applicant. This was noticed to 41 property owners within 300 feet, and we have several comments that Kate will read a little bit later. So just a reminder, this is for your approval for a conditional use, and then for your recommendation of the city council for the subdivision plat. Vicinity map on the corner there, that's 6970 south, 300 east. You'll see that it's undeveloped at this time, northwest corner. It's currently 2 lots, total of about 0.42 acres. The proposal is to subdivide that to 4 and then put 2 twin homes on that corner. Everything around that you see is currently zoned similarly, so single family residential with duplex overlay, and all the adjacent uses are currently residential. I'd like to note that there is a similar duplex just across the street to the south. Here we are, street view looking northwest. With this proposal, they will finish the street, the curb and gutter, the sidewalk, parking strip. And you'll see right now, it's kind of being used to burn out some circles there. You've got some overhead power lines there on the corner, but it's been undeveloped for as long as we can have records. So here's the preliminary subdivision then. 2 buildings representing 2 twin homes, so 4 lots. They're not all the same size lots because we have 2 frontages here. We have a frontage on 6790 South and then a frontage on 300 East. So to respect those setbacks, we have, dissimilar size lots. Let's see, structures are mirror images of each other. So it's the same home product, just flipped, and they're both going to face toward this shared drive with access off 6790 South. Currently, this subdivision does meet all the requirements in Title 16 subdivisions. And this plat, this preliminary plat, has been approved by Fire, the city engineer, and Public Works. Here's an overview of what those buildings on those 2 lots are going to look like. I received a lot of comments about this, and there was a little bit of confusion. I think you'll see in the comments. People thought that there was going to be 8 residential units here, but you'll see that it is just 2 spread across 2 different buildings. Again, the setbacks do meet both frontages. Here's the site plan. You'll see, again, different size lots to respect that frontage setbacks. Overhead power lines here, shared asphalt north-south. The homes, again, are oriented toward the shared drive. Quick look at the floor plans. Small basement, single story above it, 2-car garage at the center, facing that drive, and then 3 bedrooms. So you'll have 4 units again on 2 twin homes. Here's a look at the front and the back. The top picture is what faces that shared drive. So you've got the porch entry, you've got the 2-car garage at the center, and then along the backside of both structures, you've got doors. At first, the proposal didn't have doors, but we want to respect that neighborhood compatibility along the frontages. So even though these face inside, this does look a little bit more compatible for a single family dwelling in the neighborhood. So as far as the streetscape, you do have what looks like a bit of a frontage or a front yard. Here's the elevations for the south and the north of both structures. Again, remember, they're just mirror images. So this is what it's going to look like north and south. Again, just wanted to mention that this is kind of a more traditional look than what you normally get for what a twin home or a duplex might look like. So with that, it meets all Title 17 setbacks, build to lines, height, neighborhood compatibility. And so for our recommendations for conditions of approval, for the conditional use portion of this, we're recommending that you adopt that the twin home residential structure should be constructed or will be constructed as presented, and that there be no changes. If there are changes, then they'll have to come back with those changes. But for this particular condition of use, exactly as built or as proposed built. And then the front side yard shall be landscaped within 6 months. And then for the preliminary subdivision plat portion of the conditions of approval, here's the 5 here. They're pretty standard. Applicant's going to prepare a final plat. A note's going to be added that the twin home residential structure be built as proposed. Minimum of 2 street trees along the south frontage, 4 along the east frontage. Applicant's going to obtain duty to serve from water and sewer, and then courtesy notices to the different dry utilities. So here's our recommended motion. Before we get there, I'll let Kate read the public comments.
Hold on, before you do that, let's give it back to Candy or Chair Tibbetts so she can find out if there's any questions. And
Are there any questions from any of the commissioners?
I don't have any at this time.
Dustin does. Go ahead, Dustin.
This is Dustin. Is the property a PUD?
No, this is a residential with a duplex overlay. So a duplex is allowed by right on this corner.
So do we have something that we get in writing on who maintains the driveway for like snow removal, garbage pickup?
Brandon, are you going to have any kind of HOA or CCNRs?
Yeah, because of the shared drive, there will be an HOA with the shared driveway with restrictions and covenants.
And Commissioner Snow, that will be put together and then it will be required to be recorded along with the final plat.
Okay. And then on the east side property, what's our fencing limits, requirements, setbacks?
The limit is 7 feet. Brandon, do you have any, I don't see anything in your site plans with fence details.
Yeah, so on the east 300 east side, we'd obviously like to allow the buyers to be able to maximize their own private space. So whatever the required setbacks is for Midvale City, we would more than likely try and incorporate that setback for private space.
So along the 300 east, because it is considered a frontage and the building is at the build to line, the limit or the height limit for a front yard fence is 4 feet.
Okay.
Again, that's for the neighborhood compatibility. We don't want a frontage with a 7 foot, full fence there. So 4 feet.
And then last question, what does Fire think about it?
Fire had no issues. They had no comments. Sometimes they do have some small technical issues, but with this one in particular, the fire marshal had no comments whatsoever. Again, this is a preliminary, so if there's any changes, and the final usually has a little bit more detail, but they'll be asked to comment again on the final.
Great, that's all. Appreciate it.
Mr. Fry, is there anything you would like to add to Mr. Binks's presentation?
No, I appreciate it, Jason. I mean, he presented it well. The intent was to try and keep consistent with the Rambler style in that neighborhood. It's a very quaint, nice neighborhood, all well-maintained properties. So the intent was to keep a Rambler ranch style, craftsman style, just to try and, really fit in with that neighborhood and keep that same consistent integrity.
Do the commissioners have any questions for Mr. Fry?
Not currently.
Okay, then I think it's time to open this up for public hearing.
Chair Tibbetts, one quick question. Could you give the city attorney's office an opportunity to chime in?
Oh, yes, please. Yes.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Alex. So as we've discussed before, this is an administrative action. It's a conditional use permit. If the applicant meets all of the requirements of the statute, we are required to provide approval. If there are issues that require mitigation, because it's a conditional use permit, we're required to seek for ways to mitigate those issues first and approve it. If those issues cannot be mitigated, that's the only circumstance in which we could deny this application.
Thank you, Garrett. I'd like to open this up for public comment now, and I know we received several. So let's start with the ones we already have received.
Okay, the first one is from Bonnie Jackson. My name is Bonnie Jackson. I live at 6760 South, 300 East, Midvale, Utah. Concerning the twin home proposal, we think it's ridiculous to house 8 families on such a small lot. There are no grass areas or recreation spaces available for children to run and play, or even adults to relax in the sun. They have not addressed any space for animals either. There's not enough parking for the tenants and no parking for their visitors. The extra cars will be lined up and down the already narrow streets, making it even more dangerous than it is now. It'll cause more traffic and congestion on 67, 90, and or 300 East. This will make it more dangerous for the school children walking to school. It doesn't fit with the rest of the streets and homes around it. If multiple homes is the only option, they should resemble the twin homes 2 lots west of this project, or the homes directly south across the street. This would give people livable space and parking and keep the neighborhood uniform. Tall housing just doesn't fit with the existing neighborhood either. Since Midvale started zoning for twin homes, the crime rate and property damage has skyrocketed. Your proposal reads 2 twin homes at 287 and 2 twin homes at 293. That equals 4 families per address. Jason just called Elena Barrow and told her it is 4 residences total. Could you please clarify it to me? Bottom line is we don't want anything over 2 dwellings on that property. Thank you for your time. She adds that because of the number of older residents that don't have access to email or Facebook, we have called or visited all these people and gotten their permission to list their names and telephone numbers as directed by Midvale City. And I'll add that they did provide a list of the people that they claim have agreed to sign on their comment, but they did not provide physical evidence of that agreement. So the names will be provided. The names provided in this email have been shared with the Planning Commission, and they'll also be included in the minutes. Okay, the next comment is from Tyler Andrus. Jason, my name is Tyler Andrus, and I reside at 284 East, 6790 South, directly across from the proposed subdivision. I do welcome development, as the empty lot is not pleasant to look at. I am, however, concerned about any potential home design that might detract from the feel of the neighborhood. The lot is surrounded by houses that are decades old, ours built in 1955, mostly 1-story ramblers. My hope would be that any homes built would honor that tradition and not stand out too much in size, color, or style. I'm also concerned with the aesthetic of having homes that do not face the street. It appears from the plans that the new homes would face each other and not the street. Our neighborhood is one that prides itself on having large lots with big green front yards and houses with good curb appeal. I fear any other design would look out of place and not honor the history of our neighborhood. Thank you. This comment is from Deanne Neal. She resides at 485 East Rena Ave. And this is a comment for the 287 East, 6790 South Midvale. I want to publicly oppose these 2 projects. When I moved here, I was told it would be a mixed community of mostly single-family homes with some twin homes and a few duplexes. To my knowledge, there has only been 1 single-family home built here, and everything else has been twin homes or duplexes. It changes the character of our neighborhoods. We recently approved the 33-unit project on 7200 South and 300 East, and now you want to add more. The corner lot on 287 East and 6790 South is not large enough to support a division consisting of 4 lots, consistent with the size of average lots in our area. We moved here to have a safe, quiet place to raise our family. When you dramatically increase the density of neighborhoods by approving smaller lots and making single-family homes into multiple family units, whether it be a townhome or more, I've noticed lots of changes. 1, you increase the traffic both from residents and delivery vans, and vehicle speeds are faster. 2, lots are smaller, so children end up playing in the street or trespassing on neighbors' property. 3, the neighborhood is much noisier, and this comes much later, often after 10 p.m. 4, residents and their guests are more likely to park on the street, making it more hazardous. 5, crime increases have been shown by statistics in our area over the past, as you have approved more multiple units in our neighborhood. Often people living in these non-single family homes are more transient and don't have vested interest in our neighborhoods because they know living here is only temporary. Single family homes are more often purchased by families who are more interested in caring for their yards and interacting with neighbors, consequently bringing a greater sense of community to the neighborhood. In the interest of preserving the integrity of our area, I would ask that you deny these two proposals. It appears to me that the short-term profits to developers, contractors, and also to the city of this type of development have outweighed the integrity of stable single-family homes in our neighborhood. Deanne Neal, 416 East Perrine Drive. This comment is from Leroy Cole. Mr. Binks, my comments for Sidwell number 22-19-328-072 and 073. I live next door to this lot and I'm against changing it from 2 lots to 4 lots and any setbacks from the street. Adding 2 more lots for a total of 4 residents would leave no room for any extra parking of vehicles. This would force people to park on the street, which is on a corner of an intersection with only 1 stop sign. This intersection has had several accidents in the 12 years I have lived here. Some of the accidents have ended up on people's properties with property damage and 1 accident that went into someone's house. Please don't change this to 4 lots. Thanks, Leroy Cole at 6768 South 300 East. This comment is from Ann Kenner. Dear sir, my family lives across to the east from this proposed property, and to put twin homes and residents in there would make it too crowded and create a danger for those that live in the area. This area is a corner lot or lots, and by your picture, you would only have a small driveway going into the property. If it is constructed like the many homes and duplexes that are going up in this area, they do not have enough access. Cars would be parked on the corners and make visual dangers due to the cars being parked out on the streets. If the cars are parked on the access road to the new buildings, it would block people from coming out and limit access to emergency vehicles. If children live in those duplexes on a corner where many cars travel, there would be a danger to the children. The area you are putting those buildings is a single residential area, and to put duplexes in there would be problems for the look of the area. Coming from a town that was given permission to put high density housing, this would become a blighted area because of high density housing. This is trivial, but from my house, I can see across the valley to the Ochre Mountains and see a sunset every night. And if the buildings are 2 stories, it would block that view. School children cross that street every day because there's an elementary school 2 blocks south. This would become a danger to the children having to walk across the area where high density housing is built. Because it would be high density housing, I will have to put a fence in my front yard due to people coming into my yard from across the street. My neighbor to the south has had people run that stop sign 3 times and have run into his fence and mailbox. It is not a safe pedestrian area. I can see single homes there, but not high density housing. And even at that, only 2 homes to keep with the layout of the neighborhood. If you have any other questions, please email me. Thanks, Ann and Lynn Kenner. This one's from Stephen D. Carpenter. Dear Mr. Binks, I'm the property owner of 6789 South 300 East, Midvale, Utah. This property is directly across the street from Sidwell number 22-19-328-072 and 073, which are subject to the use permit hearing on January 13th, 2021. I am in favor of the proposed development as depicted in the notice of public hearing attached. However, I do have concerns regarding traffic. During the period between May 2014 and January 2019, my home at 6789 South 300 East was hit by vehicles no less than 4 times. The first 3 vehicle impacts caused damage to my home in excess of $110,000. More importantly, my children who live in the home escaped injury and possible death by and impact from a speeding vehicle with a DUI impaired driver. A mere 5 feet separated them from the vehicle impact. They still live in the home, but due to emotional trauma have moved out of their master bedroom, rendering useless except for storage. Following the 3rd incident, I contacted Midvale City to request barriers be placed on the street to slow traffic and protect property. That request resulted in a flashing stop sign across the street. The solution of Midvale City was not acceptable to me. I contracted for installation of barriers, column column fencing in front yard of my house at a cost of an additional $4,000. Shortly thereafter, the columns were hit again by a speeding vehicle. The vehicle was deflected by the columns on my property, which protected my home from further damage. However, the vehicle veered to the property to the south, causing damage to a car and carport. The damage repairs to my column fencing was an additional $2,500. In addition to the monetary costs and emotional trauma to my children and my family, my insurance rates have skyrocketed, and I have been unable to obtain any other insurance until these claims are expunged from my record. This will take at least 4 years. I'm requesting once again that Midvale City entertain the placement of a street barrier and mini roundabout similar to one deployed at 1900 East, 1100 South, Sugar House, Utah. Pictures attached. I have highlighted the placement of the barrier on the attached zoning use permit. And that should be it.
Okay, so we'll leave.
One chair.
Yes.
Kate, I sent Kate and Jason a comment that I just received a few minutes ago.
Okay.
Okay.
Kate, please check your email for that one. We can see your screen.
Oh, I have it.
Jason's screen.
Okay. While he gets that fixed, I'll just read the comment really quick. Dear sirs or madam, I wish to express my desire to not rezone this property. I'm a longstanding resident of this neighborhood, and I do not wish to see this or other single-family homes rezoned to duplex or multiplex housing. I have already spoke with many neighbors, and they share the same thoughts. If I were to draft a petition to prevent the rezoning, how many names do need to prevent this action? Thanks, Eric.
Okay, well, we'll leave this open for a little bit longer for any other public comments.
Does anyone think putting parking at the end of the driveway would make the neighbors any happier? Just throwing that out there.
I don't know if it would necessarily make any. I foresee a couple things. I think you run into potential setback issues there, because you would have to move the houses forward, obviously, or you'd have just parking in front of them. At least that's my initial thought looking at it.
Sorry, reword at the, I guess, the entrance of the driveway.
But
yeah, I worded that way bad. Sorry.
This is Robin. Can we make a motion to close the public hearing?
Yeah. Yeah, you can go ahead and do that.
I just did.
And I'll second that.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for the developer
We do need
or any comments that we need to share at this time?
Chair, we should resolve that motion.
So, like, do we need to do a vote?
Oh,
for
we
it?
need to do a vote. Yeah,
Yes.
sorry. Kate,
Candy acts like she's new at this.
Kate, will you please
We'll take
do
it
a
easy
roll
on you
call
this time.
vote? Wait
Yeah.
till your turn, Robin.
No.
Commissioner Anderson's spunky tonight.
Usually.
Commissioner Smallwood.
This is to close the public hearing.
Yes.
Did you hear me? Yes.
No,
Sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
it's okay. Commissioner Erickson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Anderson,
Yes.
and Commissioner Snell.
Yes.
Okay, the public portion of this is now closed. Now, commissioners, do we have any comments or questions that we would like to discuss at this time?
I had a question for either Jason or Mr. Fry. why is the park strip being omitted from 300 East? I quickly glanced at it from Google Earth, and it looks like there is, even though right to the north, there's a little bit more pavement. It looks like largely there's a park strip included around everywhere else. So I was just wondering if we could get that addressed.
On 300 East, the sidewalk goes directly to back of curb, where on 6790, it's got the curb and gutter, then park strip, then sidewalk. So it's actually constructed differently on the 300 East side.
Right. And I guess my question is, why is that being, so even though it's there currently, how come it's not, there isn't an addition of a park strip and it is curb adjacent? Is there some reason why a park strip couldn't be included there?
I think Jason could probably speak to that, but if you're going north on 300 East, the sidewalk would then have to jog at that north property to accommodate a park strip, because right now it's congruent all the way through on 300 East. It just goes straight through north to south.
Zach, are you talking about this portion along 6790?
Oh, 300 East side.
No, he's talking, I think it's, if you look, there's a telephone pole. See where the camper is, and there's a telephone pole. So the sidewalk is closer to the street.
There's no requirement for a park strip. I think his proposal was just extending this.
Okay.
But I don't know if Brandon, you may or may not have to tear this out for development. I'm not sure.
Yeah, on the 6790 side, the idea is to continue with the park strip and the sidewalk, just as you're speaking, Zach. And then on 300 East, because it's already existing and it's consistent with that 300 East, there is no park strip currently on 300 East.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, just looking on 300 East, I'm looking at Street View right now. It looks like it's just one property that doesn't. It's just the one right to the north that doesn't have a park strip. But again, if there's no requirement for it, it doesn't really matter. So, okay, I'll just shut up.
It would create a huge problem with that power pole there as well to require park strip.
Isn't the power pole going to come out anyway?
No, there's no requirement to underground utilities in this zone. And I don't know, Brandon, that would probably be cost prohibitive to underground, because this power also comes from across the street from the south, and then along the west property line, it moves up to this pole here. So it's quite a bit.
Yeah. Okay.
To the new structures, it will be underground, but the existing overhead will stay. So we'll tie in from the overhead to underground to the new structures.
Nice. So there really is a concern. Well, I just have two questions. I'm interested in why people think this is a 4-lot. Isn't it only a 2-lot? Brandon, isn't it only a 2-lot?
Yeah, and I can address that. So with the duplex overlay, the intent, again, with the way housing is right now, was to, instead of doing a duplex, was to make them twin homes so that each side could have separate ownership instead of one ownership per building. And so that was the intent, and is so that each building, each side can be owned separately.
Commissioner Anderson, I got several calls about this, which ended up producing those comments, those written comments, but they were under the assumption that it was 8 units, but I corrected them on the phone call and it was 4. I don't think that will remove their comments. I think 4 is probably still too much, because several of the calls I had just wanted a single family home in here. So take that for what it's worth, but they're aware that it's not 8 units, that it's 4.
That's good. And what will we do about the parking? I mean, if there's street parking, obviously you're not going to do it on 30 East.
The proposed plan does have the required parking. So there are 4 units, but it does meet required parking for this development and for this zone. I've also talked to the city engineer about putting, about the mitigation for traffic. There's been several accidents here, but the city engineer said that there are speed humps all along 6790. There's a flashing LED sign, and the traffic volume, although it's pretty coincidental that there were several wrecks at this location, the traffic volume is really no different than any other T intersection in this portion of Midvale. It's just unfortunate that this home sits at the end of an intersection.
I would think this would eliminate some of that. If there's a house there, two structures, I would think it would eliminate a little bit of that whip through there kind of feeling. I think people would look at that and think, oh, I got free gratis and can go, because there aren't homes there. I almost think it would slow it down a little for if there was something there instead of that field. That's just my thinking. I would think that if I were a drunk driver speeding through there, but
Oftentimes development is traffic calming.
Yes, I would think so. Okay, that's all I.
My main comment, this is Candace, is the overall height of the building. There were several comments, and I know that Mr. Fry mentioned it, wanting to keep with the Rambler style, which you obviously have, but it almost has the illusion of having 2 stories. And I couldn't see the overall height. It was kind of clipped out of these. So I was wondering if it was comparable to, I think it looks like 2 buildings to the west. Looks like a 2-story house. So I was just wondering if that was comparable to what was further down the street.
Brandon, do you have the height, the overall height for this?
I can try and pull it up here. I'm afraid if I do, I'll be kicked out of Zoom. But so just to give you a reference, the top of foundation wall will be a typical 12 inches above current existing grade. And then your floor, I'm going to do 9-foot walls just because it is a Rambler. And then it's a typical 612 pitch roof, which adds about another 12 feet. So you're less than 24 feet out of the ground. Very typical construction as far as roof pitch, wall height. Obviously, it'll be a little taller, just new construction, and a 9-foot wall will give, that open volume feel inside these structures.
Commissioner Erickson, I'm looking at the submitted elevations that were clipped right here, and it says 24 foot 4 inches.
Okay. I mean, that seems consistent with the neighborhood. It's kind of in between, some and higher than others. There was the comment where there were 8 families. I know there was confusion there, but looking at the elevations, you might get confused about that. But I can absolutely see where it's designed to fit into the neighborhood, and I can appreciate that. And that was
typical Rambler is about 26 foot to the middle of the gable. So
right.
If he's at 24, he's actually under what is typical.
Right. I think it will blend in more so once it's built than what you see here on 2D.
Jason, what's kitty corner kind of behind this lot with all those that we look at it from up above? What the heck is that with all those?
I can chime in on that.
So yeah, Alex, I was about to defer to Alex here.
Okay.
That's a pre-existing storage yard.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
And they're worried about this pretty little thing. Okay.
There are several properties there that are all under the same ownership that have that kind of use extending north out beyond the picture that you can see here.
Wow.
And
Okay.
there has been no plans to redevelop that site as far as I know.
That's unfortunate. Okay. That was all. I was just wondering what the heck that was. Wow.
Commissioners, do we have any other questions or comments?
I'll make a motion if we're ready.
Go ahead, Dustin.
I move that we approve a conditional use permit for the proposed twin homes and forward a recommendation to Midvale City Council to approve the Vunder amended subdivision preliminary plat at 287 and 293 East 6790 South with the findings and conditions of approval in the staff report.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Can we please get a vote?
Yes. Commissioner Erickson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Anderson,
You're
Yeah.
muted, Robin. There you go.
Volume.
Commissioner Snow,
Yes.
Commissioner Smallwood.
Yes.
Okay, having that passed, it will go on now to the city council for approval. Thank you. Okay, next item, number 5. Rena Avenue duplex conversion at 485 East Rena Avenue, conditional use permit for 2-unit residential structure, single family, one, what does DO stand for? I always forget.
Duplex overlay.
Thanks. Duplex overlay zone. Justin Hurd is the applicant. Jana Ward is the presenter.
All right. So this is just the conditional use permit for the one structure, one duplex. So the subject property is zoned single family residential with the duplex overlay and is on close to a 1/4 acre lot. Sorry, let me change my. On a corner. The zone allows duplexes under a conditional use permit, provided the Planning Commission concludes the application fully mitigates all identified adverse impacts and complies with the general standards listed in the staff report. The existing home has a 3-car garage. A separation wall inside the garage is planned to be built as part of the proposal, with the top floor unit having access to a 1-car garage with a tandem parking stall on the paved driveway. And then a basement unit will have a 2-car garage with parking for 2 more cars on the paved driveway for a total of 6 off-street parking stalls. The requirement is 2 stalls per unit. The existing curb cut is the full width of the driveway, so that it's 28 feet of direct access to all those stalls, so they won't be having to maneuver around cars on the driveway. There's no changes proposed to the building footprint. So this is not like adding on another portion to add the duplex. This is just the existing house being remodeled into a duplex. The main floor will be accessed through the front door or from the garage to the back door, and the basement is accessed through stairs inside the 2-car garage. The general plan states that a diversified housing stock is integral to any city's sustainability, and that housing choices must be available for all life stages, income levels, and lifestyles. So a duplex in this location offers a price point and variety that may not be affordable for all life stages than other housing opportunities in this immediate neighborhood. And staff finds that the proposed duplex conversion fulfills the goals of the general plan. So based on compliance with the requirements of the zone, staff recommends approval of the duplex with the conditions listed in the staff report. Again, we do have quite a few public comments that will be read by Kate. There were 41 public notices sent out to the neighbors within 300 feet, but I can answer any questions you have for right now.
Do the commissioners have any questions for Jana at this time? Is Mr. Hurd available?
Yes, I'm here.
Do you have anything you'd like to add to Jana's presentation?
Currently right now, no. I think Jana's done a really great job in explaining that. I know there's some public comments that I do want to make a few comments on, but we can wait to hear those public comments first.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that. If the commissioners don't have any questions for either Jana or Mr. Hurd, let's open this up for public comment.
Chair, would you like to give the city attorney's office an opportunity?
Oh, yes, I always forget to do that. Yes,
Okay.
Garrett, please make comments.
Don't worry, I'm very forgettable. So this is the exact same situation as the last application that we reviewed, with the one difference being that we're not dealing with the subdivision as well. So this is an administrative decision. We're looking at, does it meet the requirements of the statute? If it doesn't, are there things we can do to mitigate it? And if there are not things we can do to mitigate those impacts, then that would be the only method to allow for a denial. Otherwise, if it meets those first two, it meets the requirements or we can mitigate, we are required to approve this.
Thank you, Garrett. It's very nice to have you be at our meetings and give us this information. Now, if there are no more comments from the commission at this time, can we open this up for public hearing, please? I know we've received some comments already. Can we go ahead and start with those?
Yes. This is from Emily Jacobs. Dear Ms. Ward, my name is Emily Jacobs and I reside at 365 East, 6990 South in Midvale. This is 1 block south of the single family home requesting a conditional use permit to convert into a duplex. I do not believe that granting this conditional use permit would be in the best interest of our neighborhood for the following reasons. There's not enough parking to accommodate this duplex request and the house is located on a blind corner with no stop sign. The nearest street parking right out front of the home would inhibit the view of drivers coming either way and would be a potential for dangerous accidents. Our neighborhood has seen many of the recent home sales being purchased by developers and flipped to be turned into duplexes. The volume of residents coming in and out of our tiny streets has increased exponentially in the last few years, and we need to put a stop to it. East Midvale Elementary School is at the end of Rena Avenue on 300 East. This is one of only 2 outlets of our neighborhood, and the streets are already strained with traffic in the morning and evening hours. I believe these homes to duplex conversions are adding to the problem for keeping our streets safe for our children and not helping solve them. We've recently seen a large portion of our neighborhood on the corner of 300 East and 7200 South bulldozed and now being developed into 3-story townhomes. There are 15 plus units going in and only 3 visitor parking spaces. This is a mere 4 blocks from the proposed conditional use permit. This lack of parking will most definitely become a giant problem for our neighborhood, and although it's too late to do anything about the townhomes currently being built, it's not too late to stop it from happening to the rest of the neighborhood. I believe that allowing this conditional use permit at this home on Rena Avenue would deteriorate the safety and peace of our neighborhood. Please help us protect it. Sincerely, Emily Jacobs. The second one is from Jamie Ranke. Dear Ms. Ward, I'm a homeowner at 6859 South, 455 East. Our street intersects with Rena, the street in question. You may or may not be aware that the majority of the homes in the neighborhood that have been purchased in the last year have been subdivided into multiple units, including the house next to mine. This has caused several issues in the neighborhood, including increased traffic, blocking our driveway, speeding, cars parking on the road, making it difficult for snow removal, garbage pickup, mail delivery, and all-night parties, where we've had to call the police to break them up. We love our neighborhood and would like to continue raising our family here. Please understand that if all of the homes are going to be subdivided into multifamily units with no infrastructure in place for parking and/or frat-style single-bedroom rentals and rented to residents that regularly cause issues in the neighborhood, we too will be following suit and selling our house to one of the many greedy developers that are using Midvale City as a way to flip houses that they purchased for under market value and turn into multi-unit rentals that were never intended for the space they're located on. This new trend, coupled with the increase of high-density housing in the area, concerns us, and we cannot see a future for us in this city if the trend continues. Thank you for your time in this matter. A concerned citizen, Jamie B. Ranke. Excuse me. This is from Camille Hill. Hi, Jana. I live across the street from the home that is considering duplex conversion, 476 East Rena Avenue, Midvale. Obviously, the neighborhood is not happy about homes being turned into duplex rentals. It adds more parked cars on the street, traffic on our roads, and usually unwelcome tenants who don't maintain the home and yard. We purchased our single-family home, which was located in a nice, quiet neighborhood with other single-family homes, and would like to keep our neighborhood that way. We have loved our quiet single-family home for over the past 10 years. There are better locations for duplexes, apartments, and high-density housing, and those locations should not be in a single-family neighborhood. We chose this area for a reason, and now it's trying to be changed. Midvale City representatives tend to meet the demands of developers and not give much thought about the concerns of local residents, and it's frustrating. We don't have much of a voice when it comes to zoning, and it would be nice to finally have our concerns met. I appreciate you considering not approving the duplex conversion of this single-family home in hopes that we can get a homeowner who will also enjoy a quiet neighborhood in Midvale. Sincerely, Camille Hill, Midvale resident. This is from Joe Watson. Hi, Jana. I wanted to voice my concern with the proposal to add duplex housing on Rena Ave. As the demographics are changing in this area, I've seen more traffic and at higher speeds, worse sense of community, and higher noise levels. I'm adamantly against anything which encourages more rentals and less direct responsibility. In this case, the transformation into duplexes. This will open a can of worms for investors that are already removing the community feel of this neighborhood in order to turn profit. Please be our ally in this cause. Joe Watson. 333 East, 6990 South. This is from John Wayne. When we purchased our home, we wanted to live in a place with homes, not apartments nor low-cost housing. My understanding is this area is zoned for single dwellings, twin homes, and some duplexes. That zoning really pertained to building original built structures. We have some duplexes in this area, but they are all grouped together. There are only a few residences that were originally built as duplexes within the area with single dwelling homes. And there have been a couple of homes that have been converted to duplexes that we didn't know about when the rezoning was done. Now we are seeing this happen more often. If the builder wants duplexes, go and build them where people want them. We have enough and don't want any more. We purchased an area with single-family homes on purpose, and we request you leave it that way. We don't want to see our neighborhood home prices degraded by having a bunch of homes that were built as homes converted to an area of apartments/duplexes. This current request will put this converted duplex/apartment right in the middle of single-family homes. See the attached map. Midvale needs to make sure that when zoning areas are changed, that it doesn't affect property values of existing residential area so that we don't have a patchwork throughout the city. Make sure new projects where low-cost housing and high-density structures will be placed must be planned and not just build anything just because there is vacant ground available. Years ago, when Midvale wanted to know what to do with the old smelter property, that was on the corner of 7200 South and 700 West. I got up in that meeting and said not to build residences on that lower ground because that area is destined to flooding. I told them to zone it for business only with no basement because of the Jordan River. They listened, and now we have all businesses that the higher ground farther south is apartments. They listened then, and we are asking you to listen to us tonight. No more homes converted to duplexes in the middle of single-family neighborhoods. Please, please don't do this to us. Thank you for listening. This is from Florence Miller. Please find attached a petition that was signed by 42 owners of properties immediately adjacent to and proximate to the property, requesting denial of Mr. Hurd's conditional use request. We note that we did not ask everyone in the neighborhood, and many were not home or did not answer the door. When we were able to talk to someone, the overwhelming response was yes, they wanted to sign. Thanked us for our efforts and expressed concern about duplexes in homes that were designed as single-family homes. We have attached a map which indicates where those that signed the petition reside, marked in yellow, relative to property marked in red. My wife and I own the home located at 6900 South, 500 East Midvale, right next to the property, and which we see in our backyard. We have invested a lot of money in our home, as have our neighbors in their property. As stated in the petition, the property was built for and has been used as a single-family residence for 25 plus years. The owner-occupied homes immediately adjacent and proximate to the property were likewise built for and are occupied as single-family homes, some for more than 20 years. While duplexes have been built in the subdivision of which the property is a part, these duplexes are north of 6815 South and were originally designed and built as duplexes with adequate parking and architecture, etc. The proposed use of the property runs contrary to its original use and design and entirely inconsistent with the homes near and immediately adjacent to the property. To allow the proposed conditional use would be inviting duplex development in this quiet older neighborhood in homes that were built as single-family homes. This would diminish each private property owner's quiet enjoyment and value of my home and other homes, invite substandard development and destroy the character and stability of the neighborhood, and diminish property values, and thereby decrease the tax base. While gathering signatures for the attached petition, the overwhelming sentiment we heard from owners is that they were concerned about what was going on in our neighborhood, that Midvale is approving more and more conditional uses that are inconsistent with the character and nature of our neighborhood, and do not wish to see any more duplexes in our neighborhood. We respectfully request that the commission deny the request. Florence and Jenny Miller, 6900 South, 500 East. Attached petition is to deny conditional use request by Justin Hurd to convert the family home located at 485 East Rena Ave, titled the property in the petition, into a duplex. Each of the undersigned being residents and owners of property in the subdivision within which the property is located respectfully request that the Midvale City Planning Commission deny Mr. Hurd's request for the reasons set forth below. This property is zoned single-family residential zone, SF1, with a duplex overlay. The property was built for and has been used as a single-family residence for 25 plus years. The owner-occupied homes immediately adjacent to and proximate to the property were likewise built for and are occupied as single-family homes, some for more than 20 years. While duplexes have been built in the Selma subdivision, of which the property is a part, these duplexes are north of 6815 South and were originally designed and built as duplexes with adequate parking and architecture, etc. Their proposed use of the property would run contrary to its original use and design and would be entirely inconsistent with the homes near and immediately adjacent to the property. To allow the proposed conditional use would be inviting duplex development in this quiet older neighborhood in homes that were built as single-family homes. This, which would diminish each private property owner's quiet enjoyment and value of their homes, invite substandard development, and destroy the character and stability of the neighborhood, and diminish property values, and thereby decrease the tax base. Midvale has many neighborhoods designed for and to accommodate density and non-homeowners. This is not one of those neighborhoods. And the signatures are as follows, and I apologize if I mispronounce any of them. Beverly Crockett, Reneva Hoffman, Jamie B. Ranke, J. Violet Wilson, Trenton Jensen, Sarah Rail, Joe Zumbrunen, Steve Zumbrunen, Camille Hill, Jacob Hill, Mark Delfonte, Chad Farrenworth, Lena Springer, Ken Springer, James Ted Burke, Mary Jeanette Burke, Brett Ranke, Terry Jensen, Tamara Jensen, Pat Fieldcock, Bonnie Peadcock, Ray Lyman, Marcella Lyman, Florence Miller, Jenny Miller, Maxon Cook, Kay Stanley Cook, Nolan Harvey, Mary Wilson, Leslie Baer, Corey Wengren, Jason Butler, Trudy, and Robert Jones. Kate DeLeon, Kevin Hadley, Carolyn Duncey, Jessica Myers, Kenneth Myers, Carol Gothberg, Elaine, and Amy DeLong. Let's see. The next comment is from Jackie Jolly. I vehemently oppose the above reference item being heard in the public hearing on January 13th, 2021. Considering the number of duplexes and multifamily units in the neighborhood, considering the number of homes being turned into duplexes in this neighborhood, and considering the number of slumlords, absent landlords, and sober living homes where tenants and property owners have no vested interest in being a part of a community, when is enough enough? Allowing these types of projects to continue to be approved is unfair to those of us that have invested time and energy into our neighborhood to make this a wonderful area to live. It's time to say no. Investors coming to invest in the homes translates into let's spend a little money to make a ton of money at the expense of those living here. Are you aware the new owner of 485 East Rena Ave is planning to use part of this property as an Airbnb? This brings another element of uncertainty to the neighborhood. This isn't about affordable housing. This isn't about housing diversity. This is about investors who couldn't care less about the area and are only concerned with making money than walking away to let whatever comes. While the construction site on the corner of 300 East and 7200 South, along with what seems like more multi-units being allowed, i.e. Brad Reynolds' lot on 700 East, approximately 6850 South, and now the 287 East, 6790 South lot, there is no good explanation why anyone should be allowed to turn a single family dwelling into a duplex. This property should stay a single family dwelling as it was meant to be. It is sad to think families are leaving because Midvale city planners can't say no to investors. These homes should remain as they were intended since this neighborhood was developed, and let investors go somewhere else to make money. I am interested to know what, if any, advantage there is to the city to continue to allow this. Does the city make more money? Is there no advantage to the city or residents? Then the answer should be no. I implore you to deny the property owner of 485 East Rena and any other persons wanting to turn a single family dwelling into a duplex. This is not acceptable to us and shouldn't be acceptable to Midvale City. Enough is enough. Jackie Jolly. And that is all that I have.
I have not received anything new in my email.
Alex, do we have any other comments?
We do not.
All right, I move that we close the public hearing portion of this item.
This is Robin. I second that.
Kate, can we get a vote, please?
Yes. Vice Chair Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Snow.
Yes.
Commissioner Smallwood.
Was I muted? Yes, sorry. Yes.
And Commissioner Erickson.
Yes.
Okay, the public portion has been closed. Commissioners, we'll open this up for discussion and maybe some response from Mr. Hurd on those public comments. Mr. Hurd, do you want to go first, please?
Yeah, thanks for giving me some of the time here. The one comment that I just wanted to make is this, is we understand that, this is a nice neighborhood, and the home that we purchased needs quite a bit of work. And there's a lot of things, the woman who was in there just didn't have enough money to continue to upkeep her yard the way she needed. Actually family friends of ours, so I know her extremely well. And so this was one of those situations where we're going to need to do a lot of work for the uplifting of just the home itself and beautify the yard. And One of the things that I would just mention, I know I believe it was Jackie Jolly mentioned a Facebook video in regards to Airbnb. I did make a Facebook video and said, we've thought about possibly doing Airbnb out of here. Upon further investigation, that's not allowed in the city of Midvale. And so we are just treating this as a standard duplex, just long-term tenants upstairs, downstairs. I am part of the Good Landlord program. I will have a property management company that does take care of this. They do take care of other properties that I own. And part of that is we have lawn care. We really take pride in making sure that we do a nice job so that we get the type of tenants we want where there's not problems. And we want to keep that into consideration as well. So I just wanted to share those few thoughts.
Also, Jana, I wanted to ask, can somebody that owns a single family home, can they rent out their single family home? You're muted.
Yes, anyone is able to rent their own home.
Is there what are the requirements for somebody to do that? Is that just, do they have to get a business license or anything, or do they?
Yeah, we have a landlord business license. And then the Good Landlord program is a statewide program that offers you a discount on your landlord business license.
Okay, thank you.
How many notices did we send out?
41.
And we had 42 come back?
No, I don't have any I have one come back. I think we had 42, or I don't know where that number came from. Maybe a lot.
Anyway, so we sent everyone we sent out came back negative. Is that correct?
We sent out 42. We sent out 41 notices and got 42 signatures on a petition. That did include multiple residents of the same household.
Got you.
There is a map attached to that petition that shows you the houses that signed off on it. Jana sent that out earlier this evening. So you can take a look at that.
Kind of, those two projects are in the same neighborhood, so they were kind of reaching out in between the two projects. Probably people who did not get a notice were contacted about the petition.
It is a concern when nobody's for that. I mean, of all those sent out, not one person said, yay, yippee, can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded like there could have been some confusion when you just say making a duplex on a property. You can sometimes get confused whether it's new construction, existing construction, like what kind of scope. A lot of people referenced a much larger duplex or building that they would be experienced with, that they drive by every day. And I kind of sense that confusion in some of the comments where you're not really changing the footprint of this property. It's a little bit different than new construction on something that you're used to being just an empty lot. So I get a sense of just applying, you see the word duplex in Midvale and just applying a blanket moniker that they're all bad or they're all going to ruin my neighborhood. And I kind of got that sense.
I agree. I heard that same kind of, at least from when they were reading the comments, it seemed like they were thinking that this was going to be torn down and rebuilt as something else, not a conversion, and largely the building is going to stay exactly the same. That's kind of what I got out of it anyway.
I did drive by this on 2 separate occasions, and the corner is, I would say blind, but it is a parking nightmare. And there was a ton of cars parked on the side of the road in that neighborhood.
Which it is legal to park on this side of the road. That's public right of way.
It does have a massive driveway though, and a 3-car garage. Like, I mean, that might be different than other properties in that area that would help this because there's so much parking on site already.
This is Justin Hurd, if I might make a comment on that really quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, it is one of the unique homes, and there does have a 3-car garage. And one thing I didn't point out on those plans that Jana shared, there is a additional parking spot that the old owner was letting the neighbors park a camper trailer on it or something. It's a slab off the back. You can see it from a bird's eye view. So with this being extremely large driveway, it is unique for that area.
Any other questions or comments, commissioners?
I'd like to pick Garrett's brain, but we'll see.
Well, we can ask Garrett to reiterate what he told us before. Garrett, can you repeat what you said before?
Yeah, absolutely. And feel free to ask any questions you have as well. Let me get my keyboard out of the way. This is a conditional use permit. So Mr. Hurd has a property right to develop this as a duplex if he meets all of the requirements that are found in our statute. And Jana, Alex, and Jason would be the best ones to be able to tell you whether or not he's checked all those boxes. If if you decide to deny this, you would be violating Mr. Hurd's property right, since he has a vested application that he has submitted to the city. I understand there's been some frustration from the neighbors about whether or not this should be a duplex. You, as the planning commission, it's not your role as the planning commission to make those decisions. Any sort of rezone applications or any sort of zoning issues are legislative decisions that are made by the city council. And so those are where those should be directed, but those would not have any impact on Mr. Hurd's property as he's currently vested. So if you believe that there should be some changes though to the zoning map or the duplex overlay as a result of this project, it won't have any impact on this project per se, but you can initiate some of those changes here and make recommendations to the city council about what you would like to see. Are there any, I'm hoping I have answered any questions or concerns that I think I was feeling. Are there any other specific questions that anyone has for me?
I think it's just difficult when there's so much public comment in the negative towards a project when our responsibility is to go in the positive direction. So I think, not to put words in Robin's mouth, but I feel like that's the anxiety that's going on.
No, absolutely. And it's definitely an uncomfortable position to be in. I mean, public hearings are public hearings, and certainly in the midst of that, as you guys picked up, there are concerns about parking and things along those lines that are legitimate concerns. But as it sounds like, with having 6 parking stalls, more than likely under Utah law, those parking concerns are adequately mitigated by what's available on this property. We have 3 parking garage stalls plus 3 additional stalls in the driveway that are above whatever is required by our own requirements for a project of this type.
Well,
Oh, go ahead, Zach.
I was just gonna make a motion actually. So I move that we adopt the findings and conditions of approval presented in the staff report approving a conditional use permit for a duplex conversion at 485 East Rena Avenue, subject to the conditions laid out in the staff report.
I second the motion.
It's been motioned and seconded. Kate, can we get a vote, please?
Yes. Commissioner Snow,
Yes.
Commissioner Smallwood,
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Anderson.
Yes.
Okay, that has been approved. Mr. Hurd, we look forward to seeing your development in the future.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it, guys.
Okay, that concludes our public hearing portion. We'll now turn some time over to Alex for the upcoming projects and meeting info.
Great. Thanks, Chair. Good evening, everybody. It's kind of nice to be able to sit back and relax and let Janet and Jason do all the work. So just so you guys know, we will have a special meeting this month on the 27th. We're going to be bringing back that Midvale Mills project from last year, the one on 80th South. We'll need to get the Planning Commission's input on that large-scale master plan before it goes to council for what should be the final decision in February. That's the only thing that I have on that agenda right now, so we'll have that plus some minutes. And then if there's anything else you would like to have scheduled there, please let me know and we can put that on. We did, just as an update, the impervious surface text amendment that Jana presented last month, I believe, was approved by the council. So that has been approved and taken effect. I've got down on the agenda a reminder to check back with the Planning Commission in about a year to give you an update on how that change has affected development, if at all. So keep an eye out for that in probably December or January, coming up in about 12 months. We do also have, just so you can be aware and thinking about it, a couple text amendments that are pretty substantial in size coming in the next few months. We'll have one to look at rewriting the subdivision ordinance. I think I've mentioned that previously. It's approaching a draft status ready to present to the Planning Commission. So I'm anticipating you'll see that in February or March, depending on how those meeting schedules break out. And then we've got a similar one for master plan developments following a moratorium the council adopted about 6 months ago. So that I have tentatively scheduled the master plan developments for February. We'll see how that draft also plays out, but the plan right now is you'll see it in February, and then we'll have hopefully some good conversations about it. I don't have anything else for you tonight, so unless there's any other questions or things you want me to respond to.
Question.
Uh-huh.
So do you know if, well, I'm assuming since we've seen a couple things for this new chicken place, do you know when Hoppers is going to close? Are they going to relocate?
I don't know that we have that information, but I can try and find out for you if you would like.
I would like that because I like Hoppers, and so seeing that, it makes me a little sad. So
Alex, is there a reason we can't meet in the building and not have public come in?
We're still at a pretty high risk factor for the pandemic. So the city council is still pushing to have meetings held electronically. We have very few people in the building on a daily basis right now. The fact that Jana and I are both here is actually unusual. Normally it's just one of us most days. So yeah, we still, and actually the council chambers have been closed for several months for some other projects. So we couldn't have done it anyway. I don't anticipate that we will go back to in-person meetings before probably the summer at this point.
Oh my, but I can go to church and have 100 people in there.
I can't speak to what your church is doing.
That's really interesting. Or I can go to a restaurant and have all these people, but I can't. It's just interesting. It would make it easier for a lot of us if we could just meet in the big room. It's not like we can't social distance, my criminy.
Well, actually that room looks big when you can sit next to each other, but when you start spacing out chairs, there's not very much room in it at all. The same is true for our other conference room here, the doll room next door.
Right.
If you start putting in that spacing in there, there's just not very much room to get people in. So until the council directs us to go back to in-person meetings, we'll be having them electronically for the foreseeable future.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, back to you, Chair.
Seeing no other comments, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn at 7:36 p.m.
I second.
Okay.
It doesn't need a second. We just don't
Okay,
need it.
well, everyone was so quiet.
Just any objections.
Have a
Seeing
good
no
year.
objections.
Have a
this
good
meeting.
year, Chair Tippett.
Oh, thanks. We'll be talking.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Have a good night.
Night.
Right.